8:10, 24 degrees. We are Wall Radio. It is Valentine's Day. Have a very happy one. But we have to talk about something that's maybe not always so happy. We have to talk about food insecurity today. And I want to say good morning to my guest. Erich is here from Cornell Cooperative Extension of Orange County. He's with the Gleanings program. Should there be an S on that, or am I getting ungrammatical?
We just go by Gleaning.
Gleaning, okay. Gleaning is collecting food. And that's what you do, right?
Yeah, a huge part of the job is to find farms that have produce to donate, because we want to get some fresh produce to the pantries and soup kitchens and other programs that work with populations that face food insecurity issues. And finding that fresh produce is really important. So we actually go out to the farms. They either have pre-harvested stuff, so we'll rebox it and load it in the truck and drive it around to multiple different counties. Alternatively, too, we actually sometimes go out in the field and harvest it right out of the field.
That's what the original word gleaning means, to go out and pick up what falls off the wagons and stuff behind the harvesters, right?
Yeah, that's and we still for those kind of work, we really like to engage with our volunteers and our network of people who want to support Cooperative Extension Orange County, and our partners have a lot of volunteer connections too. So we'll actually take members of the community out and do some of this harvesting in the field as well with them, so they get a real experience of gleaning.
Yes. But how much, all right, this time of year, how much food is available from farms?
Well, we don't really have any field gleanings this time of year.
Well, no.
Right. So, but we still have a couple of farms that are pretty regular, and we might get a one-off farm here or there who's got some produce that they either couldn't move at market, or they might have enough that they feel generous enough to provide that donation. So the Hudson Valley Farm Hub is one of our major donors for weight right now. And then alternatively, we get a lot of interesting herbs and sometimes Brussels sprouts from Goodness Gardens, which is pretty local, although they're a large business that moves product around in multiple countries.
Brussels sprouts, cut them in half, roast them, drizzle a little olive oil. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's great that we get that stuff, especially the Brussels sprouts, because this time of year getting anything green is near impossible.
Yes.
But we do get a lot of potatoes, carrots, a lot of the cold weather crops that they've been able to keep in storage.
Oh, okay.
So the Farm Hub gives us thousands of pounds of stuff each week. Still.
Thousands of pounds of fresh produce every week. That's wonderful. That's very generous.
Yeah, we're very lucky. I mean, in previous years, we have not been able to get a lot of donations, or oftentimes none in some months during this time of year. So
Yes.
having them do that for us has been a lifesaver. In fact, with that contribution of theirs, we've been able to break our records 2 years in a row. In fact, this last year we actually moved 433,000 pounds in 2023 for a team of about 3 people, and of course volunteers. That was an incredible amount of weight.
Yes.
I mean, it was a lot of work. But
Now, once you pick up the food, how does it get to people who need it?
Well, we literally go to the farm, get the food, put it in bushel boxes, rebox it, or sometimes they'll have it palletized for us already, which is great. And then we will hand load it a lot of it on the truck. And so it's a lot of like packing it, hand loading it, driving that truck where we need to go. Like for instance, today I've got our van. We've got 2 vehicles. Today I've got the van right here in Port Jervis. I've got donations to make right here in town. And then I'll be headed up to Sullivan County for a donation up there, and then back into Middletown for some more donations there. So I mean, it's really a boots on the ground type of project. We go out there, get it, load it up, drive it, give it right by hand to the pantries, and then when we arrive sometimes, and there's folks there waiting in line for the food. So I mean,
So it does not go to waste. Absolutely, the most essential thing is get the food to the people at food pantries. You take it to food pantries, and from there it's distributed to hungry people who really need to eat some vegetables.
yeah, and
We have such poor nutrition so many times because the good stuff costs more.
Yeah, and I mean the pantries are often hurting for fresh vegetables. They really appreciate our program because the shelf stable items, the canned goods, the preserved stuff, that stuff lasts. It's not as hard to move that around. Plus, there's a lot of other great programs in the Hudson Valley and New York State, such as the food bank, that can help provide a lot of that. But getting that fresh produce right from the farm, the opportunity to get that, I'm very happy and pleased to be part of a program that's able to do that. It's practically a farm to table. I mean, that's as
I
close as you
was
could
going
get.
to use that phrase myself. Yeah, yeah. And the only middleman is you, Cornell Cooperative Extension, picking it up and getting it to the food pantries that then distribute it while the food is still fresh. Wow. And I'm just sitting here thinking how many times I've bought a head of lettuce and then ignored it until it turned to mush in my refrigerator. Got to stop doing that. That's a New Year's resolution that we'll make in mid-February. Yeah. But for people that have not enough to eat, do you have a listing of the food pantries available that they can look up through
That
your website?
Well, right. It's available on the site. There's a lot. We have a lot of partners. We work in seven. I know our Gleaning program works in at least 7 different counties, and our food security approach overall, we even touch more than that. I mean, we deliver heavily across Ulster, Putnam, Sullivan, Orange, Rockland, and Dutchess County. So there's a lot of pantries. In fact, um, we delivered to 56 pantries through our boots on the ground approach in 2023. But there's even more listed on our website, who we provide support through for other programs, such as Nourish New York, which I also help support. We help pantries through a grant application. We've received some funding from the state, and then we help them purchase food from farms through that fund. And that's another alternative, which is great for the cold months too, because the farms are able to still have some product available, or maybe it could be a meat or dairy. So that's always able to be purchased,
Hmm.
but we're not going to get a lot of those donated. Plus, our vehicles don't have freezer capacity, so it's great to have this option for some of our partners to be able to purchase that food and get it through that program as well. So in the cold months, that's another way we can really supplement the food insecurity issue by providing other resources.
And, I was just talking to someone about an upcoming farmers market. You must look forward to those. Or I don't know. Do you get to work with any of the farmers markets locally?
I think some of our partners do some of that. I've spent a lot of time going to the farms, though. It takes a lot of time to drive around and get to all those counties. So it's mostly my role mostly focuses on getting to the farm and picking up the produce and then getting it to the distribution sites. So, but we still have a wide network that our program really coordinates with. Um, but the farmers markets are kind of a sort of a little bit different. A lot of what we get actually is stuff that may have not sold at the market,
Okay.
and we come and get it
Fair
right
enough.
after,
Yeah.
which is great for the farmers because when they can't move a product, if it's still A grade, B plus grade, stuff that I would still buy from the grocery store,
Right.
um, then they can also donate that, and it gives them a bit of a tax write-off. So everybody wins, really.
It's so tough to be a farmer here now because everything costs so much. And the farmers can't find the supplies and equipment and parts for their tractors if they break down in such as easily as they could years ago. So to hear that they're still so generous is just heartwarming. That's really nice to hear. And the other thing you have is volunteers, and you could always use more, right? You got a pitch that you'd like to make to get people to volunteer?
Well, all of Cornell Cooperative Extension of Orange County, we've got all kinds of programs up there, and there's a huge need for volunteers. Especially, it's got a lot of range. So whatever your interest is, I'm sure there's something up there. Our 4-H programs, they need 4-H leaders and folks to work with the youth, and there's all kinds of really cool programs through our volunteer opportunities.
Yes, there are a lot.
So
Yeah.
if you got a passion for something, you can even engage with our 4-H team and share with them what your knowledge or your passion is, and see if you can work with them to even like almost like create a program
Okay, sure.
around the 4-H framework and you can lead that, whatever your passion might be. I've had people who reach out who are interested in automotive stuff, who are interested in various animal or livestock. So all kinds of cool stuff through 4-H. And then, of course, our Gleaning program. Right now, not a lot of roles for volunteers, but we are starting to need a lot more help at the farms for boxing produce. We want to continue to move as much weight as possible, so boxing produce or even getting out in the field and harvesting. And then we've got some different special events, And also another great opportunity through extension is there's an opportunity that people can sign up to become master gardeners, which um,
Yes.
that's not something that I know a whole lot about. It's outside of my department, but I've seen the role of master gardeners in the work we do, and it's amazing. Their knowledge base is fantastic, and they're really connected with the community and really want to engage with the community.
And
I've
they're
taken some
available by
classes.
phone almost anytime.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, super knowledgeable. I've actually asked them a few questions for landscaping purposes with different plants and things like that. So, I mean, if you like working with youth, plants, the outdoors, or just want to help out in the community, there's plenty of opportunities. And you can find that on our cceorangecounty.org/volunteer. Again, that's cceorangecounty.org/volunteer.
Yes, a lot of opportunities because people may not realize all of the good work in many different areas that Cornell Cooperative Extension does in Orange County and in other areas. We're going to talk about more of that, and we'll talk about more of the Gleanings program, but we got to take a quick break. I'm here with Erich of CCE Orange County on Wall Radio. 823, 24 degrees at Wall Radio. My guest in the studio is Erich from Cornell Cooperative Extension of Orange County, the Gleaning program, working to help end food insecurity. So let's talk about food insecurity, Carl. Where does it come from? How does it happen?
Well, just to give us some foundation here, food insecurity is defined by the United States Department of Agriculture as a lack of access at times to enough food for an active, healthy life. Here in New York State, I mean, COVID had a huge impact on food insecurity issues, and bouncing back from that has been slow. So we're still seeing that about 1 in 10 adults across New York State, and in our counties that we work with, which is about the counties that sort of surround Orange County and Orange County itself.
Mm-hmm.
We see that as many as 1 in 10 and even 2 in 10 in some counties, youth are struggling with food insecurity.
Wow.
And the root of this is roughly understood as financial trouble and financial struggles. It could come from unemployment. It could come from loss of hours. Inflation is a huge issue right now, which is why we haven't bounced back.
Inflation is pretty scary at the moment.
Yeah.
I'm trying to reconcile what I hear on the news that there's 2%, 3% inflation with prices being double what they used to be. That's not 2%. I don't know where all of that is coming from, but I know it costs a lot more to buy the same stuff that I want to eat. So, not everybody can afford everything now that they bought a year ago.
Yeah, I mean, and there's also people throw around the term shrinkflation, which I haven't paid much attention to, but then I decided to look into it. I'm like, oh, I'm familiar with it. I've seen it happen. And that's just the fact that you're finding that some of the food products you buy, the prices might look the same. But when you look at the volume content, they're reducing the amount of weight, grams, ounces that they put into it.
I used to buy the 3-pound can of coffee, and it would last forever. And that 3-pound can of coffee now weighs, I think, 1.5 pounds.
Wow, that's a big drop.
Well, it's the same price
Yeah.
as the 3-pounder. Yeah, and we're that dumb? Or the dog food in 20-pound bags is now in 11-pound bags?
Mm.
And you dump it into your plastic dog food container that holds 20 pounds, and it fills it up halfway. But
Well-
it was the same price. That's a scary thought for people. Am I going to be able to afford to keep a dog as I get older? And who knows?
Well, that's exactly it. It's like, how do we maintain our standard of life, our quality of life? When, I mean, like you said, keeping a pet is important. Being able to access education, being able to buy a home or pay your rent, make your
Or
car
pay
payments,
the heat bill right
pay the heat
now.
bill.
Yeah.
When you get down to it, even as a matter of fact, and that's why the Gleaning program exists. Paying your heat, getting food on the table. These things are challenging for folks. And when they have trouble doing that and keeping a roof over their head financially, it makes it even harder for them to stay healthy, to get profitable work, and to have the time in their life and schedule to be able to work for themselves and pull money into their household. So it creates a vicious cycle of having these instabilities, and that's what they've seen a lot with even youth who have food insecurity. Is it can even result in health issues like obesity, mental health concerns. because it's about the nutrition. Food insecurity isn't necessarily about how much intake someone has. It's really about the nutrition of the items they're getting. So with youth, we want to make sure that they're also able to access this fresh produce, because we want them to have quality learning experiences to maintain a positive mental health, positive physical health. So that way they can stay healthy and have a profitable future for themselves.
Yeah. And how come every meal at the fast food place is like a burger and fries, and there's nothing green except for the pickle? That's not enough green stuff. It's not.
Yeah.
What do you do? How do you educate people?
Well, so we've got other programs in our community, such as Cornell Cooperative Extension. We also have a SNAP education, which really helps, and nutrition educators are part of the team. So they really provide extra resources and support for families that may not have the knowledge to prep these meals, or they may not have the knowledge of how to use certain produce, which is one of the challenges with the Gleaning program, is sometimes we get produce that people don't know what to do with. So
Oh, yeah,
we have to
sure.
educate the pantries, which then we hope are educating their consumers, and we want to support and promote foods that are great and very tasty items, but it's like people aren't that familiar. But
Hmm.
that's what we have available, right? Because it's what got donated.
Right.
So spreading that education so people know how to use these other products or produce is really important to them. And having SNAP educators and nutrition educators to help people figure out how do I help my family be as healthy as possible is really critical. So I mean, all this together, we really would like to see. The vision of our organization really is about focusing on creating measurable change in order to positively affect agriculture and food, families and youth, environment, and economic development within communities. And so all these things play together. So it's, when someone's not eating healthy, it can affect the economy. It's simple as that, especially when you aggregate all the people.
Yes. Yes. And when you're helping a few, you're helping even farther than you realize. So you would love to have volunteers. Probably you need them, the volunteers, more in the warmer seasons.
Oh, for sure.
Okay.
We really start getting most of the donations start trickling in May, and then we get real busy by end of June, and then we are moving a lot of stuff up through right around the beginning of November, and then we got a big push for Thanksgiving. That keeps us real busy, and then in December things start to slow down, but we still get a lot of donations, and then once the first of the year hits, it gets quite slow. But we have to get creative about how to parse things out and be fair to the pantries, because we're still getting, like I mentioned, we still get several thousand pounds of food each week, but compared to the busy season, it's very low.
Wow. Yeah. Well, thank you for all of the work that you do. And I hope you do get some volunteers. You also would love to accept donations of funding if people could help out. That's on your website, which we should send people to once again, cceorangecounty.org. There is a section there for Gleaning, and you can see all the great work that Cornell Cooperative Extension does. Thank you so much for coming in. Any last parting thoughts?
Well, if anybody has any specific questions, they're more than welcome to call the office.
Easiest phone number in
Yes.
Orange County, 845-344-1234.
Yeah, it was
don't
easy
even
to
have to look it up.
memorize. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Oh, Carl, thank you so much. It was good to meet you today. I appreciate that you came in.
It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Okay. Glad you stopped in the middle of your rounds of pickups. It's 8:30 at Wall Radio, 24 degrees. Let's get us updated. Here comes CBS.